Sheila today. So she's going to like run the whole thing, and I'll just
run the whole thing.
Listen.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so today the lovely guys at Lagos Matchmaker are having me to talk about finding relevance as a single person. Usually the first question is, how exactly do you actually find relevance? What exactly are you trying to say? Basically, as we all know, we live in a society where there's a lot of pressure for us to get married. There is this there's this thing of, by a certain age, you should be thinking of getting married, and God forbid you cross 30 and you're not married, then there's a problem. Usually what this does, it leads us into this frantic search for a partner. We now get to that point of desperation where if we don't marry, we're going to die. I'm exaggerating, but you get what I mean. So it's and what I find interesting, and as much as it applies to women, it also applies to guys, where they get to a particular age in life, and if they're not married, it's any girl that's available, they just pick and then they marry. So they would have maybe like 6 options, and then whichever one fits what is their checklist of a wife, they would just marry. And then after marriage, they start asking questions, and they start wondering, who is this person that they got married to? Now, the truth is, marriage is a wonderful thing. We love marriage. Everybody loves marriage. However, your single years are one of, or it's basically a time of your life that you can never get back. So how do you maximize your single years? And that's really what we're going to be talking about today. And I had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. So not much, just 7 points on how to quote unquote maximize being single. The first one is, you have to learn to love yourself. And by that, what I mean is, you need to get to know who you really are as a person. What are your likes? What are your dislikes? The only way you can know if you can be with someone is when you know who you are as a person. If you've not figured out who you are as a person, you can't figure out who you're meant to be with. Do you understand? So say you're a reserved person and you don't like people who talk too much. But if you have not figured out that you actually don't like people who talk a lot, you might end up with someone who talks a lot, and you will get really upset and really irritated. And so number one, love yourself. Love yourself. Learn who you are. It's very important. Number 2, be open. And by that, I mean take risks. It's your single years. There's so many things you can do. You can travel. You can, try different foods. Step away from your comfort zone. It's a time of your life where you don't have to ask for permission, especially for the women, because the moment you get married, you have to start asking for permission. And by that, I mean, before people start saying, oh, what permission? What I really mean is there's somebody else that you're accountable for. It's not just you anymore. And then the moment kids come into that, that's it. For a long time, exactly, until they enter uni, you're pretty much, living for everybody else but yourself. Number 3, forge good relationships and build a valuable network. And what I mean by that is, this is specifically for the ladies. Not everybody is dating material. Not every tall, dark, and handsome guy and has money is your future husband. So please, this is your time to just have good friendships. Increase your network. Know that you have people that you can talk to. People that, for anything, either it's business, personal, but just build on your relationships, because these relationships will come in handy when you are now married. And these relationships, you will see how much, how powerful they are towards your mental state as well. Because by the time you're married, you're with one person, you're living with that person. So sometimes you're going to be upset and you can't stand that human being. But you need to have good friends that you take a break and then they remind you of why you married that person and how you love the person. And you're like, oh yeah, that's true. And then you can go back. So use your single years to build valuable relationships. Work on yourself. And we do this thing a lot, especially in Nigeria, where we say, when I get married, I will do this. When I get married, I will do that. But guess what? When you get married, you don't do anything because most times you can't predict when you're going to have a kid. So you get married and you have a kid immediately, and then you can no longer achieve the things that you say you want to achieve. So work on yourself. Make yourself that valuable person that you want to meet. Make yourself that good catch. And so if it's learning a new language, if it's salsa dancing, if it's, anything, just have fun while you're doing it and work on yourself. The next one is go easy on yourself. You're going to be heartbroken. You're going to have issues. You're going to, every once in a while, you have a relationship and maybe it won't work out because not all relationships lead to marriage. We know that. But what you do after the breakup is what matters. My usual advice is don't jump into another relationship immediately. Take your time. Reflect. What are the things that I did differently, or what are the things that I did wrong? Yes, the other person may have been, whatever. But the truth is, for you as a person, what did you do wrong? Were you, did you nag a lot? Were you a pushover? Were you this? There's so many things that when you think about it, you now realize who you are as a person. And it would help you with having a better relationship and most especially having a good marriage as well, because you would have learned so much about yourself. A lot of marriages that have issues today is because maybe one person or the both of them didn't know themselves very well. And so when they now get married, they are now in a place where they are figuring themselves out. And the only way they can figure it out is someone else complaining about the way they're behaving. And obviously, there's going to be arguments and fights and all that. But if you have learned so much about yourself and you're being with someone who knows a lot about themselves, it's a case of you decide, yes, we can be together, or yes, I will kill you if we marry. So I'm going to move on from you and go to the next person. So just is that for every bad relationship, there's a lesson to be learned. There's a lesson to be learned for every bad relationship that you find. And even if it's just friendships as well, for every bad friendship or relationship, there is something about yourself that you need to learn. Learn to stand your ground. And what I mean by this is you've learned about yourself. You know your dislikes, you know your likes, you know who you are as a person. Now you must stand your ground. And we're in a society where they force you to settle. And the truth is, if you do settle, you won't be happy. A lot of people will say, oh yes, that's why I personally have a problem, or I'm not comfortable with the term settling down, because it's like, yeah, I'm settling. I understand what is trying to be explained, but in my head, it's like I'm settling.
You're managing.
I know, it's like I'm just managing the situation that I'm in. And if you know what you are attracted to, don't say, oh, because I want to marry, it will come in time. I remember when one of my friends was getting married, before she got married, he was her fiancé then. He made a statement to her and said, don't assume I will change. What if I never change? Would you still want to be with me? And that thing, it stuck, because what if the person that you're dating never changes? Would you want to be with that person if they never change? So why are you with them under the pretense and hope that they will change? Because imagine if they never ever change, or if they become worse than who they are right now. So stand your ground. Stand your ground. It's very important. And finally, you're worth waiting for. Don't rush into relationships. It's everybody has different stories. I've heard of stories of people who they meet and after 1 month they're married, after 3 months. It's all about your personal conviction. For one person, it could be a month. For another person, it could be 6 months. For another person, it could be 5 years. At the end of the day, it's about you. And if you feel like you're being rushed, then slow down. Find out what you're trying to learn from this time of being with the person, and then decide if you're going to go ahead with that person. These are things that you can only do while you're single, because once it's once the relationship is over, it's over. We move on from it. When you do get married, then you have to worry about a divorce, and it's a lot much messier than just a breakup. So, those are really my 7 points on just enjoy your time single. Enjoy single. And so I'll just repeat the points again. So love yourself, be open, forge good relationships, work on yourself, go easy on yourself, stand your ground, and always remember that you are worth waiting for. So I don't know if there are any questions.
I kept thinking of what she said, you learn from every relationship. I kept thinking, what have I learned from relationships? I think there's some that have been negative, there are some that have been positive. I think there's a relationship I had that taught me how to better manage my money.
Yeah.
But the relationship was costing me so much. So that was positive because it made me a better money manager. So yeah, sometimes it's positive. You learn good things about yourself. So relationships can teach you how to cook if the other person knows how to cook and they're daily teaching you. So sometimes it's good or it's bad, but not every relationship ends in marriage. So just take what you learn from it and move on.
I mean, I had a relationship where I learned that I needed to be more outspoken. I was a very reserved person. I used to hide from people. So it's funny because I have the blog Single and Giddy, and now people know who I am. But when I first started the blog, I was anonymous because I didn't want people to know that I was the one with all these opinions on relationships. But then being with that person had to teach me to be able to speak up, because what was happening was I would be upset about something and I wouldn't say anything. And I would be pretending like all was well. And then the day I now get upset, it's like, where did this come from? So I had to learn how to communicate, at least every once in a while, just say, okay, I don't like this, I don't like that. And then also come to terms with the fact that me saying I don't like it doesn't mean the person will respond the way I expect them to respond, that we might have an argument. And if we do have an argument, I need to figure out a way to be civil about it and not go all crazy on the person. So things like that is what I've learned. And it only comes with an honest evaluation of yourself, to be honest. It's only an honest. If you're not honest with yourself, you make the same mistakes in your next relationship. And so what you find is that you're having the same pattern over and over again, and you think everybody's crazy, but maybe the crazy person is really you and not the other person. So that's basically it.
Yeah, that relationship that taught me how to be patient, because the person was so annoying. So you have to just yoga yourself and just and it did make the next relationship better. Yeah, each relationship further has been better.
And as you get older as well, you realize that, because when I remember when I was like 21, 22, 23, and I think of myself then and now, I'm like, wow. Because the way I behaved then and the way yes, it comes with age, it comes with maturity, it comes with also, but the more you understand yourself, the more you realize, how you should, act. And it's also being able to define what you like, what you don't like. So when you meet someone and the person is exhibiting something you don't like, you don't deceive yourself that it's going to change. You just kind of just go like, yeah, you're a really nice guy, but I think I have a girl for you. It's definitely not me. And then you move on from it. That's the mistake a lot of us make. You see this nice guy and maybe he has a nice car, he has a fantastic job, and you're already thinking marriage, but you haven't even actually paid attention. And so I've attended.
He's good on paper.
He's good on paper, exactly, but are you compatible with that person? Compatibility is very important, and not everybody is bad. So it's possible that you're not compatible with that guy or girl, and you paint them as these evil people. But it's just a question of compatibility. If someone else is with that person, they would have a perfect relationship and a perfect marriage. And then you start looking like maybe it's just the two of you were just not compatible. And this is the time to know that. Don't rush into it. Take your time. I keep hammering on that. Take your time, because once you say I do, you can't get that time back. You can't get it back.
And enjoy your single life. I guess the enjoyment also depends on what your idea of enjoyment is.
Exactly.
Some people like traveling. I really don't like traveling.
Yeah.
I liked partying, so
Yeah.
that
That's your enjoyment. There
I
you go.
did it a lot. So
Yeah.
whenever I can, I chill and I sit down and kids are running around, I'm like, I'll be reminiscing of the time, and I'll just sleep until like 12. Nobody wake me up because I was drinking the day before,
Not
you know,
anymore.
and just relax. But imagine if I didn't do those stuff and I didn't enjoy
Exactly.
myself, I'll be thinking, oh, I wish I had,
Exactly.
you know, and there's no I wish I had. There's nothing you can do. It's too late.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be like, I wish I had done
You know,
this.
the
I wish I
kids are grown up.
in my mind, I'm like, I wish I'd done more. You know? I did it, but I want more of it. You know? So, yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know if there are any questions.
Questions?
Any questions? No? Okay. So, I don't know, over to you. It's your turn. I'm done.
Yeah, so I mean, everyone, you've gotten advice today on how to enjoy being single, and to, like my sister now, she's learning a new language. I wish I did that. I really can't do that now. I don't think I would have to.
You're
Yeah,
not
just
pole
do what?
dancing. I can see all your videos in your pole dancing class.
Just following her.
I need to learn that. It just looks
I wish
nice.
I did more of this stuff, you know. I mean, I enjoy this to a certain degree that I can reminisce about it. If you don't have anything to reminisce about in future, I mean, you know, I have stories I can tell, or I can think and say, oh wow, I missed this time. You know, have something to miss, have something to enjoy. You know, because when you're married, kids come in, your husband comes in, you can't be selfish anymore. You can't sleep and wake up at like 3 p.m. You have to probably take one to school or do something. So, yeah. So you just need to learn how to enjoy your single life. If you have any comments, or questions, just drop them in the box and we'll just check them later and reply. Thank you.
Thank you.